Alright. Today we're going to go over some like introductory algebra solving for X. I've seen a lot of work done on this. I just think it's explained alright, but it just hasn't been brought together properly in my opinion. And so I think what you should do is you should start out something easy. So if we look at, x plus 1 equals 2, and we'll have to forgive my my bad handwriting, but we'll make it through, right? So basically what you do in algebra is you're going backwards. So you've always been taught the order of operations, and that's like PEMDAS, right? So going through, that's parentheses, exponents, multiplication, then division, addition, and subtraction. But in algebra, we don't go like PEMDAS, we kind of go backwards. So what we do is we want to start with, addition, subtraction. So we ask ourselves, do we see addition or subtraction? We say, yes, we do. We see addition. See that? We're going backwards. And so we're going to do backwards. We're going to do the opposite of addition as well. So right here, what's the opposite of plus 1? Well, that's just minus 1. And in algebra, what we do to one side of the equal sign, we have to do to the other side. So what we want to do here is we want to subtract 1 from this side. And notice, because I subtracted 1 from 1, I also subtract 1 from the other number, right? I'm not going to subtract 1 over here against nothing. It has to go integers with the integers. So what here, this is the classic thing. We have a plus 1 and a negative 1. Those cancel out. And then what's 2 minus 1? Well, that's 1. And then we come down here. We bring our x. That's my arrow. I love arrows. X equals 1. So that was pretty easy. That was just a one step, and just know that we just did PEMDAS in reverse, and then when we found our operation, we actually did the opposite of that. We found that we had addition, and then we say, well, what's the opposite of addition? It's subtraction. Let's go ahead and do that. So then the question is, what happens when we end up with something a little bit more difficult? We have like 3x minus 4 equals 2. And still, we're still going to use this PEMDAS. Like, algebra is pretty cool in the fact that, you're always going to do the same thing over and over again. You just have to get used to, like, seeing the steps and how to apply them. And, again, we're going to do this PEMDAS in reverse and backwards, if you will. And you go like this. So do I see any addition or subtraction? Yeah, I see a subtraction. So what's the opposite of subtraction? Well, that's addition. So let's go ahead and add 4 to both sides. And again, we're going to add integers to integers. We're not going to add integers to variables. The negative 4 and the positive 4 cancel. Then we have 2 plus 4, 6. We're going to go ahead and bring down our equal sign, and then 3x. And here we go. Okay, so now we have, and I always like to read this, right? You can read it out loud, sort of like a word problem. So 3 times x equals 6. Well, do we have any addition and subtraction? No. Do we have any multiplication or division now? Yes, we have 3 times x. So what's the opposite of 3 times x? Well, that's 3. That's divided by 3. So we're going to go ahead and divide both sides by 3. And again, if we divide this whole side by 3, we need to divide this whole side by 3. And it's just like up here, 3 divided by 3 is 1, but we say cancel. And then 6 divided by 3 is 2. Again, we're going to bring down our equal sign. We're going to bring down our x, which is left over. We have x equals 2. We're going to do more of these videos, but the simple review of this time is when you're solving for x, doing algebra, you're basically doing PEMDAS, you're doing your order of operations in reverse and the opposite of what you find. So if we find addition, we're going to go ahead and do that, but we're going to do the opposite. So we're, instead of adding, we're going to subtract from both sides. And as we saw here, we ended up with multiplication. So what's the opposite of multiplication? We divide, and later on in future videos we will attack this parentheses and exponents, but for right now we're sticking to this level.